Whenever he's ready, I think it's
You
time.
ready?
Whenever he's ready, yeah.
I think he's ready.
Jim Driscoll.
Oh, that's for what he asked you?
Yeah, I haven't got the papers back from Pat. Hi there, how are you? What? No, there's no more agendas. No.
Is he ready yet?
All set?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The licensing board meeting is now in order. This meeting is being recorded and it's being televised. Members of the board from left to right are Leo Paulino, Ron Martin, myself, Pedro Torres, and to my right from the police station, Lieutenant Conway, and from the fire station, Lieutenant Paul Macaron.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the June 8th meeting.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of the June 8th meeting. All in favor? Aye. Aye. The ayes have it. The first item on the agenda is an amendment to the Lawrence Licensing Board new rules and regulations.
Take a unanimous vote.
Need to vote.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the amendments to the rules and regulations.
So there's a motion on the floor to approve the amendments to the rules and regulations. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Okay, first item on the agenda. Before I say that, the next meeting of the board will be on July 8th, 2015, here in Chambers. First business, alcohol matters. One-day wine and malt permit for Salvatore Salupoli.
Hi, how are you? Joe Bevilacqua, Salvatore's Restaurant, 354 Merrimack Street. We're going to be doing a car show on June 28th from 1 to 5. The rain date is July 12th. We've contacted Inspectional Services. They're aware of the event. Health Department's aware of the event. Fire Department came out and did their review, and police are going to be providing a police detail for the event as well.
Any questions?
How many cars do you think you'll have?
We're still going over the numbers, but we're thinking 100 cars.
They're gonna be outdoors, right?
It's outdoors, yes.
So June 28th, or the rain date's July 12th?
July 12th.
Any other questions?
I'm all set.
I'll make a motion that we approve the one-day wine and malt liquor license to Salvatore's.
There's a motion on the floor to accept the one-day wine and malt permit for Salvatore Salupoli. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is also a one-day all alcohol permit, St. Peter and St. Paul Annual Feast, two-day permit, June 27th. Is anybody here from St. Peter, St. Paul Annual Feast? One table at a time.
Well, the gentleman must have forgotten.
They do this every year.
So we'll table
They
it
haven't come in
to,
to see us for the alcohol or
Table
the
for the time
propane
being.
permits.
Come in and see us. Come and see the board for the alcohol.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
but no,
the
we got the
20th.
inspection too.
But he will come in, or his daughter will come.
I'll make a motion that we table this to the end of the meeting.
so there's a motion on the floor to table to the end of the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is RSL Brothers Corporation, DBA Dante Nightclub. The lease agreement was unquestioned last time it was here.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Salim Tabit. I represent RSL Brothers. and Mr. Roberto Lopez, who's the president of RSL Brothers, as well as the manager. Last time we were here, you had inquired about a lease agreement for parking that had been a condition of the approval, I think, a year ago or so. I'd indicated that that was in the works. It hadn't been signed yet because there were some building issues with the city and permitting and such, and of course, my clients didn't want to start paying for that until it looked as if it was going to be ready to be opened, which is pretty close to being ready to be opened. So there's the lease before you. I think that's all that was left, or was the last thing that the board was inquiring about.
Okay. Does he have a date when he's thinking of opening yet, or?
Well, we can't open without
I
the
understand that,
the
yeah.
liquor license. But there's still some amount of construction going on. Right now, they're pretty close to finishing. They have some chairs and tables that just came in. It's now just filling out the, sort of the interior and getting sign-offs. But, I mean, I think as soon as, by the time this license is approved at the ABCC level, it should be ready to open.
Okay. Any questions?
No, we've gone over this.
Yeah, they had it before, yeah.
Death.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the application of RSL Brothers Corporation, doing business as Danrich Nightclub.
There's a motion on the floor to accept the application for RSL Brothers Corporation. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes
Thank you.
have it. Okay, next item on the agenda is a change of manager for Melinda's Industrial Group, DBA Encuentro Restaurant.
Yeah.
Your name, sir?
Yeah, my name is Jorge Diaz. I'm here to assist Mr. Rivera regarding his application for manager of Melinda Industrial Group. I don't know if you need any further information than what was submitted. He's here to respond to any of the questions.
So he's gonna be the new manager of Melinda's?
Yes, sir, he is applying for that position.
Just out of curiosity, sir, what town do you live in?
He lives
How does he
in
live?
Lynn, Massachusetts.
In Lynn, Mass? What makes you wanna come to Lawrence and buy a club?
Well, all my family here. I got opportunity for the job.
Do we have any questions?
Everything is in order.
Questions?
All the papers are in order.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the change of managers at Melinda's Industrial from Ricardo Rojas to Edwin Rivera.
There's a motion on the floor to accept the application for a change of manager for Melinda's Industrial Group. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You can't squeeze that away. You gotta squeeze-
Next item on the agenda is a reconsideration for Cesar's Restaurant.
Hi, Cesar Vargas at 68 Congress Street.
Hi, Cesar.
Hello.
No. It says here you're still missing some information.
Oh, I have
Correct,
brought the,
Pat?
I have the paper.
He's brought in the papers, all the financial papers
Oh,
are complete.
he's bought them in.
Yes, if you read the
Okay.
package,
Okay.
and he has a certificate of good standing, more or less. He has a waiver in the package.
Okay.
You got a quick, I think Paul has a question.
Yeah.
Huh?
I have a question about
Go
it.
ahead.
When we were there last year, we asked you to wire the smoke detectors up on the second floor. Have you wired them yet?
Yes, they already done.
Okay, so we're gonna come by and take a look at it.
Anytime you want.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the application of El Caesar Restaurant Incorporated.
There's a motion on the floor to reconsider El Cesar Restaurant Incorporated. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is new all alcohol for Father and Son Enterprise LLC DBA, general on premises, previously 596 Exeter Street, former La Drink House, Angel Sanchez. Robert D. Garcia and Santiago Garcia. This is a new application. The Drink House was a late renewal and didn't renew in November. Anybody have any questions?
Good evening.
ahead.
Attorney Perry Beltra here with the Garcias and the proposed manager.
So, he's Angel Sanchez?
No.
No,
this
no,
is-
Angel's the previous one, I'm sorry.
Correct.
Roberto D. Garcia and Santiago Garcia.
This is Roberto Garcia and his father Santiago.
Okay.
And Delania Minaya is the proposed manager.
She's gonna be the one that's gonna be on as manager?
Yes, she's also part owner of the corporation.
Yes. She's gonna be, excuse me?
She's also part owner of the corporation.
Okay. So are they all three related?
Father and son and girlfriend,
Okay.
fiance.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I don't have anybody here?
I got a couple questions.
All right.
He's not looking in his file.
You know this is a new renewal, which means the whole package has to be done, everything has to be approved here, and then go down to Boston. You understand that, right?
Yes,
Okay. So you know that you probably won't be seeing that package until probably at least September.
we were told that we would be able to get a response from the ABCC this summer. We anticipate that it takes what it takes, but I did put in a call, and we're hopeful that we can get a response this summer, but
But you know that right now, the purchase of this building or whatever, the premises, the business, that nobody can open up because there's absolutely no liquor license, there's no nothing for that, right?
Correct.
Because what happens is some people will buy it under the pretense that it's got an alcohol license, we're in the process, we can open. It doesn't work that way.
no, they understand that they can't open without approval from the city. What they would like to do, if there are no issues with this, if there are no other concerns, they were hoping to at least move forward with a renovation permit and start working on it with, being optimistic that everything will go through.
Yeah,
But
The
they
only,
do
the only, the
understand
only
that they
problem
can't
with
open.
that, and I've seen this in my years here, is that people start doing renovation, and then something comes back from Boston, and the paperwork isn't good. And now you're out a lot of money, and you have to freeze everything. So I would say you might want to wait until Boston comes in. Any major alterations done inside the change of the bars, anything like that, that has to be approved by this board.
Correct, I think it's
Okay.
just the checklist that the fire department had, and
Okay.
then painting, just so,
Okay.
I think it's very minimal, but I think that they'll make a decision on whether to risk that investment
'Cause
pending.
that's a small club. I don't know what, I think the
Correct,
capacity
I
is
think
about
it's
40.
almost ready to go, so I don't think that they'll be doing much. There is,
Capacity's about
however,
40, right? That's a small capacity.
who
owned that
If I may-
building?
If I may mention, we did submit the plans. If this was approved, they did have hopes of adding a deck. So that's something that is further down, but that is something that they were hoping.
Where would they add the deck?
In the back, there's, the building is kind of on a hill, and so there's space to do, an elevated deck.
Yeah.
And the plans were submitted, so if that's something that they can do, they do want to
So
move
they
forward.
purchasing the building and everything, or are they just renting it?
They're just renting it. The lease was enclosed in the
Okay, I'm
packet.
just,
And he's just moving forward with the lease.
Who owns the building?
The owner's actually here, 596 Essex Realty.
Oh, hi.
Represented by.
Should've known.
That was my question.
I was
So,
wondering what he was here for. Okay,
He's here for support.
yeah, we know Roger.
so they allowed to use the parking lot next to it, right?
Okay.
That was my question.
yeah, 'cause there's really no parking there.
There's no parking. You can't park on Essex Street. We had problems out there before.
They have a lease for that parking, or you own it too, Roger? Okay,
He owned the
all right.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the application for Father and Son Enterprises.
There's a motion on the floor to accept the new all alcohol general on premises application for Father and Son Enterprise LLC, DBA K/Us Lounge. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're all set.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a hearing for El Centro Español, 50 Common Street, Attorney Saltaby. Continue from earlier date, incident of January 1, 2015. Can you pull up the microphone a little bit closer? I had a hard time hearing you earlier.
Hearing me? I've never heard anyone say that
Oh,
before.
you weren't excited yet.
Well, I'm about to get.
When you get excited, I can hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, Lieutenant Conway?
Mr. Chairman, we have several reports on this. I'm going to read the initial report. I've asked Sergeant Samad and Sergeant Quagliata to be here, just out of protocol, what we normally do. But I'm going to read Sergeant Quagliata's report, and if it's okay with yourself and with Attorney Tabi, if that's all right. Sal, you have these other reports, Sergeant Samad's
I
and
do.
Sergeant Cirillo's. We'll be here for 3 days reading all these
No, I think they're
reports.
pretty consistent, so
Right.
I have no objection to that.
Okay. The date of this incident is January 1st, 2015. The time of the incident is at 01:30 hours. Type of an incident is an arrest. I'm reading report number 1500002. It's the investigating officer, Sergeant Sean M. Quagliata. Date reported 1/1/2015. Time of report being written 02:35. The location of this incident is Common Street, El Centro, Lawrence. Sergeant Quagliata writes on approximately 01/2015, approximately 01:30 hours, he and Sergeant Cirillo were riding together in a two-man cruiser. They were assigned to a Shannon Grant car designed to curb inner-city violence, in particular areas of need. These areas include our downtown district, which includes many nightclubs. We had just circled the block on Newbury Street, turning right onto Common, heading towards the Centro nightclub. And as soon as they did so, they noticed a rush of patrons running out of the club screaming. Many were women yelling gun. Sergeant Cirillo and I noticed a Hispanic male wearing a tan suit quickly walking behind this crowd. He had a black object in his right hand, pointed it towards the ground. Upon a closer look, they noticed this to be a gun. He yelled to Sergeant Cirillo, the guy had a gun.
Excuse me, Lieutenant,
Brown suit.
I'm sorry.
I'm
Could
sorry.
you please ask for quiet in the chamber? I'm having a tough time hearing you with people
Sure.
talking in the back.
Have a
so.
tough time hearing me?
I know, not
Really?
We're in the
That's like
same
saying I'm
boat.
tongue-tied.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would just ask that you ask the people in the chamber if they're going to speak to go outside, because
Okay, can everybody
Behind
please,
us right there.
excuse me, can everybody please have silence in the chamber? If you have something to discuss, please take it outside.
thank you. I apologize for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. As you know, the first paragraph I had already read through. And many were women yelling guns. Sergeant Cirillo and I noticed a Hispanic male wearing a tan suit quickly walking behind this crowd. He had a black object in his right hand, pointing it towards the ground. Upon closer look, he noticed that it was a gun. Sergeant Quagliata did. He yelled to Sergeant Cirillo that the guy with the brown suit had a gun in his hand. Sergeant Cirillo looked at him and confirmed, "Yep, that's a gun." They radioed for additional units and advised them that what they had going on. They both exited their cruisers and gave foot chase. This male noticed them chasing him, and he fled. They fled after him, and he ran into a parking lot behind the old Pappy Bakery. It was about 30 feet from, Sergeant Quagliata was about 30 feet behind this gentleman, and he noticed what appeared to be a gun in his waistband. As soon as he took the corner of the building, he noticed the chain swinging about 3 feet off the pavement, blocking the entrance to this lot. It was clear that the male had jumped over the chain and turned either left or right, as they were also made their way to the exit the other side of the lot. He looked to his right and noticed this male looking behind him, now quickly walking. Sergeant Cirillo and Sergeant Quagliati approached him with guns drawn, gave him real commands to get to the ground. He hesitated for a moment, looked around, and then complied. As they were attempting to handcuff him for their safety to conduct a pat frisk, they noticed a Hispanic male approaching from behind them. He was wearing a white T-shirt and light pants. They told him twice to back off and not to interfere with them, or they were trying to successfully handcuff the other male. He stopped for a moment, then continued towards them. They finished handcuffing the other male that they had on the ground, and while facing him, they now told this other gentleman who approached them to get on the ground, fearing that he may also have a weapon and also fearing they were about to be ambushed. They noticed that he had blood on his left sleeve. This occurred in the parking lot of Fusco's gas station. As the other male was handcuffed on the pavement, we then had this male proned out on the pavement, which means lying down, uncuffed. At this time, we hadn't had any opportunity to frisk him yet, as our attention was drawn to the other male dressed in white, and then walked over again with guns drawn and pulled from their holster after handcuffing, approaching across the street. At this time, my attention was drawn away from the male on the ground wearing white. I became increasingly concerned for our safety, as this male wearing white was not handcuffed and the man wearing plaid was approaching them. He noticed that a Hispanic female was attempting to stop this male in plaid. After crossing the street, she seemingly succeeded twice, but the male broke away from her grip, and was determined to come at him. I told the male to stop. He did not, and kept coming towards him. At this point, additional cruisers arrived, which was Sergeant Mangan, Sergeant Samad, Officers Guthrie, Aliano, and Salak. I advised them to place him under arrest. They did so, and they were able to handcuff this male wearing white and placed him under arrest. Both he identified as the subject's name, and the male wearing the plaid identified as another name, we don't mention him, were charged with interfering with police. We were then able to frisk the original male carrying the weapon, later identified, but we did not locate any weapons. I walked back to the chain at the edge of the building where this gentleman had exited from. He looked up and thought that he might have thrown the gun on the roof. Salak and Sergeant Bolio assisted Guthrie onto the roof. Guthrie immediately located a firearm the nearest corner of the roof, just underneath where the gentleman had exited the lot. He informed me the firearm was a black Glock 40 caliber unloaded. All three males transported back to LPD for booking. The firearm was quarried, did not come back stolen. This gentleman that we arrested didn't have a valid license to carry. Upon booking, he was told us that he was struck in the back of the head. He did not require any medical attention. We read him his Miranda rights, stated he understood. He also told Sergeant Cirillo that while they were in the club, someone fired 3 shots. Cirillo asked him again, and he said, "Officer, I'm telling you, someone fired 3 shots." It's inconceivable then that this gentleman heard the shots, discarded the magazine and additional rounds before exiting the club. When Sergeant Cirillo and I noticed him carrying it in his left hand, we will attempt to confiscate the video surveillance from the club. We located a bunch of money and drugs on one of these subjects. So as you can see, I was there, Mr. Chairman. It was crowded. I was working the overtime. I was the OIC on it. We were tied up. Sergeant Samad, one of his duties that night was to actually go to, I'll let Mike just explain it real fast. Mike, Sarge, will you come down and just explain what I had you do prior to the night going out there? Just so you know how we covered.
Good evening, Sergeant Mike Simon, Lawrence Police. On that night in question, I was part of that, Shannon Grant as a supervisor. Lieutenant Conway briefed me that evening to go by the various clubs and brief them on protocol for that evening, since it was New Year's Eve, I believe. And one of the clubs I went into was Centro Espanol. They were having a performer that night. And in recent past, prior to that, we've had a lot of trouble with some of the performers that were brought in were drawing in a lot of the people from Boston, gang members, and we've had a few incidents prior to that. So that was one of our main concerns, because we've received intel from Boston that there were gang members from Dorchester and Roxbury that were coming here for the performers here in Lawrence, at Centro Espanol in particular. I went in that evening, probably around 9:30, 10 o'clock, I spoke to the ownership of Central, including Paul Tashi, who's the principal owner, and advised them of our intel and the fact that, that we've been getting complaints and intelligence from Boston that a lot of gang members are coming and a lot of guns in the city, a lot of shots fired. I particularly told him to make sure you guys pat down people for guns because it seems like they're getting through. So he made a joke of it and says, oh, where'd you get that information from, a confidential informant? And I said, Paul, it's very serious stuff, so just make sure you guys are checking everybody coming in the doors. So lo and behold, fast forward a few hours later, people come running out saying shots are fired. Two sergeants recover a handgun from a patron that was exiting the store, the club. Shortly after, I went back to the club and I spoke to the ownership again at Central, and I says, what did I tell you? I told you to check the guys. And of course, Mr. Tashi, Paul Tashi, was in denial, saying, oh, they didn't come in here, it was outside, didn't happen in here. So Sergeant Cerullo the next day went to Paul Tashi and asked for a surveillance video from the prior night to see if those guys were in fact inside his establishment. So a short time after that, Paul Tashi calls up Sergeant Cerullo and says, oh, by the way, one of my patrons recovered a loaded magazine, and I have it. Last night I threw it away and in a pail, and I retrieved it, and I want to give it to you. So he said to Paul Tashi, why don't you give it to Sergeant Simon when he went in last night and told you of the guy who just left here with a gun? And his reasoning was, oh, I didn't want him to charge me. So here is the owner of the club who knows he has a loaded, and he's a convicted felon, by the way, who has a magazine with bullets on an important case that we just made an arrest in, and he's withholding crucial evidence in that case. I did confer with the DA's office after the fact, and they gave me the green light to charge Mr. Tashi, which I haven't yet. That is still pending, and we're not sure if we're going to charge him with illegal possession of ammunition. And those are essentially my involvement on that evening in question.
I will say this, when Sergeant Cerullo, I instruct them to go back there and talk to him, and Mike knows this, the next day, and recover the tapes, because we know they have a good taping system. They did. John Tashi immediately stepped forward and said, take whatever you want. We brought down our people that to the removal of the tapes and for the continuity of evidence and that and so forth for the courts, but we weren't able to do it. We didn't have them. We didn't have the proper stuff. Dennis Pierce and Barry Desjardins went down there, but they were there in an effort to download the footage from the video surveillance system. Captain Pierce informed Sergeant Cerullo that after multiple days' worth of attempts, both he and Desjardins were unable to download the video because of technical problems due with that system. I'm not sure if it's our system or it was your system, but
So did you guys see the actual video, or you just couldn't?
we
see
couldn't see it. We actually saw the guy outside with the gun.
Right.
We saw the crowd come out, and there was a guy outside of the place with a gun. That's what drew. That's what.
You haven't
drew
been
it.
able to access the video yet?
No, they weren't able to. Pierce and Desjardins
Sophie,
are
there was-
experts.
Did you guys
at this.
find any bullet inside? or
Yeah, they found a magazine. Somebody found a magazine.
No, not the one that they gave the owner.
The bullet holes?
Yeah.
Jay Cirillo checked, he couldn't find any.
Now,
Couldn't
all
find
of
any.
this occurred on January 1st?
Yes.
And if I may, if there were bullet
Your
holes,
turn to speak.
they would be tough to find, especially when you have, I don't know, 60-foot ceilings in there.
No. Let Sergeant Cogletta talk, please.
Smart. That's Sergeant Smart.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Quaglitta's taller.
I got a question. When you went in and talked to the management, did you talk just to Tashi? Or was John there also?
Paul's the principal owner, and everyone knows that. I dealt with Paul, John was there. John's very cooperative. Paul's just the opposite. Paul knows everything. He's the reason why there's problems at Centro Espanol. Not Mr. Tashi here. It's his brother Paul who's trying to beat the system at every turn, in my opinion. So he's the problem there. Like I said, when I went in there in good faith to try to warn him of the intel that we had and to brief him on the situation, he wanted no part of it. He thought it was a big joke. Mr. Tashi, who's also an attorney, in my opinion, took it very seriously, but not his brother Paul. And I think that's the big problem here, is his brother.
Okay, thank you. Do you want to just hang around in case we have any more questions, or? Thank you very much. Okay, your turn.
Okay, I want to set the record straight on some things that are important. First of all, Central is owned by a corporation. Mr. John Tashi is the president of the corporation, and for the last year has been the manager on that license, okay? Now, this has been a family-run business for 10, 12 years, going on even longer. So it's not a fly-by-night, it's not someone that's transferring ownership and managers every 6 months. It's a proven quantity, okay, that we know has been in the city, and for the most part, has had few problems, okay? Paul Tashi absolutely is there, and he works there. There's no question about it. But on the night in question, the manager of the liquor license, okay, was there when police came, and on the next day was there and cooperated with police. So I'd like at least the record to reflect, you know, what the state of that business is. And there's no question that Paul Tashi is there as a member of that family. He's working there. He's there all the time. And I don't doubt what Sergeant Samad said at all, that he comes in and deals with him. There's no question about that. But in terms of the ownership and the management and how active the licensed manager was with respect to this incident, I think is a little bit different than what was portrayed. Second, there is absolutely no credible evidence that there was a gun inside of that nightclub that night. There just isn't. In fact, I've spoken with Sergeant Cirillo myself because I wanted to make sure, because he was the one, along with Sergeant Quagliata, who came on the scene. What they saw was a man outside of that club with a gun, and there's no question about that. There's a very lengthy police report. Very little actually deals with anything that happened inside the club. It's all about the chase and about the suspects and about arresting the suspects and finding a gun on that particular person or that he had tried to discard, but very little about actually what happened in the club. There are no bullet holes in the club. There was no one who was injured. Now, we're talking about New Year's Eve, okay? I believe, right? It was New Year's Eve into the first of the year. The place is jammed, okay? And you have shots going off and no one's getting hurt. There are no bullet holes, no one wounded. What we believe happened is this. This particular gentleman was in the club. By the way, they do have security and they warned people. So the idea that someone came in through security, got past the wands with a loaded gun, started firing in a place that holds, hundreds and hundreds of people, and for no one to have noticed anything within the club, I don't think it's particularly realistic. So what there was a gentleman who was outside who was subsequently trying to get back into the club, and I don't even know if there were shots fired outside. I mean, someone claims there were shots fired. Maybe they were outside. Maybe it was he was trying to get back into the club as people were coming out, because it's really closing time at that time, okay? And there's nothing that suggests anything that happened in the club. Now, beyond that, the Tashi family cooperated with police by providing video evidence. And what we understand is that there was a person who had been there that night, who came in the evening, had the cartridge, okay, and initially gave it to Mr. Paul Tashi. John Tashi, who's the manager of the license and the president of the corporation, didn't know about this. And as I think Sergeant Samad indicated, Paul Tashi ended up throwing this clip in the trash, and then the following day, upon thinking about it, thinking better of it, did talk to Sergeant Cirillo, and I think provided that. There's no question he was wrong, and there's no question that the board should take, obviously, that into consideration, and I don't dispute that. But I just want the facts to be laid out there. This was not the Wild West with shots being fired in a club and club owners looking the other way. It's not at all. And I know that, I don't know if the case has actually come to trial. I don't know what further investigations gone on. Perhaps Lieutenant Conway could address that. The police reports that are subsequent reports that were not read into the record reflect much of the same as this initial report. So I would just ask that you take that into consideration. I don't know what type of discipline, if any, Lieutenant Conway is asking for, and I don't know what type of discipline this board is inclined to consider. But I would say this. Mr. Tashi, Paul Tashi, that is, should have called Sergeant Cirillo or Sergeant Samard, if in fact the timeline is correct, and I have no reason to dispute what Sergeant Samard says about when Mr. Tashi found out about this clip. But that clip was brought to him. It wasn't that he found it in the club and then threw it out. It was brought to him by someone who had been there that night. And it's our belief that it was brought into him. He should have immediately told Sergeant Samard, or he should have immediately contacted Sergeant Cirillo. There's no question about that. But beyond that, I don't think, besides his cavalier attitude that Sergeant Samard has alluded to, I don't think that there was much that happened here that really involves the running of the club. And there was no one hurt, wounded, or anything like that.
Like some time ago, I was approached by a gentleman that I know, and he told me, that's the word he told me. He was here in the last meeting. He told me, I was in the nightclub, the fight broke out, the security did a great job breaking out the fight. So I went outside. When I went outside, the guy come out running from the club, went to the car, pick up something. When he was crossing the street, the sidewalk, the police was coming, and he told the police, that's the guy, and the police followed him. So that's what I was told, and he was here in the last meeting. He's not here today. That I don't see it.
Here's the issue. I was there that night. I had given Paul intelligence 2 weeks before about this gang from Boston. Johnny, you know, right? I gave it to him, so I let him take pictures of it, of these guys. This is all evidence gathered from Boston PD gang units. Mike's a gang guy, he knows what I'm talking about. I show it to him, I said, let your security guards know that. Information comes back again earlier in the night. We get a stolen car out of Dorchester, Mike, was it? Hits a building right up the street. Mike and I are working together with everybody else because we had a big team out there. We were around there. We were on foot. We were in cars, the whole 9 yards. It's like no fire in a theater and somebody yells fire and everybody rushes out. But I know how they get guns in clubs. It's pretty easy. Females' purses aren't checked. And one female takes the firearm, or they split it up. Magazine, you can take my firearm, which is very similar to the Glock, you can break it into 3 small pieces, and you can get it right into a club. Because the main target of the weapons is always a male. That's normally how it goes. But this wasn't the first time, and I gotta go back with this, Attorney Tabi. In October, we had an issue. We were there, right? November, we were there. Johnny was always there, and I would say, this is crazy. Whoever is promoting this stuff, they're bringing up people from Boston, and they're coming up on buses. A few weeks before that, we were shoving all these people back into a bus, sending them back to Jamaica Plain. I was like, what's going on? And it was packed. Every club was packed, but this drew all of our attention because the inference is, and you're an old DA, Sal, you know that the gun, I'm a police officer, we're not concerned at the point of the club. It's, we got to get somebody with this firearm there, innocent people out on the street. So the inference is that he had the gun in there. I would say he had the gun in there. Somebody brought it in. Whoever brought it in, somebody brought it in. He dropped the magazine, whether he didn't know what he was doing or whatever. He hit one of the buttons, the magazine released out of the hand well, and he got probably chucked out, and he was going because at 1:30 at night, they're still rocking and rolling at Central because they're still going at Malaya's, they're still going at El Caesar, they're still going at Murr, they're still going to the California nightclub, they're still going at, what's that one down the end of the street on Common and Jackson, Paul? Give me a hand on that one. We always go down there. So they're going because most of these places don't stop serving until about 10 minutes to 2, or sometimes they forget and they serve after, but that's a different story.
Lieutenant, if I may.
But you know what I'm saying. So I'm looking at it as a police lieutenant. Mike's looking at it as a police sergeant. Jay, Sean, as police sergeants, as police officers, probably with about 400 years, all of us combined now. And you can definitely link that guy came out of that club. It may be hard, but start looking at it from my standpoint.
Lieutenant, just one point. The gentleman that was arrested was not from Boston. He was a Laurentian.
He was a Laurentian,
Okay.
that's right.
So the idea that they were looking out for Boston gang members, I think it goes more to our point. This was a Laurentian who you wouldn't have even necessarily looked out for either. Now,
But Boston's information specifically targeted El Centro nightclub. And I showed Paul the thing. I showed Paul the caption off of our police surveillance, and I said, this came up from Boston PD gang, Paul. These 5 actors are gonna be up here. They're saying they're coming to your
but
place.
this person wasn't one of those actors.
No, he
As far as
wasn't.
we know. So,
he wasn't, but what I'm saying
so how
is-
would they, and if you're looking out for 5 guys, and the guy with the gun that's running around outside isn't one of those 5 guys,
But you would think that if they had been forewarned, as we had forewarned them, I forewarned them, Mike went down and again reiterated what needed to be done, the guy got in. Somebody got in there with a gun because we've got a magazine.
But Lieutenant, I just told you it was provided to them, and you and I have done this a long time,
Right.
and you've just talked about the combined experience you all have.
Right.
You're telling me that if someone's shooting in that club that night,
Yep.
come on, no one's gonna get hit? There's not gonna be any damage anywhere?
Tell you, Sal, we've done a lot of cases.
it-
How many
you know.
times have we done a case where they pull a gun out and they fire the gun into the air? It happened at the Knights of Columbus.
Would go through the
It- it-
ceiling.
There'd
be a bullet hole in the
holes.
ceiling.
There would be holes. Jay looked, couldn't find any.
That's my point.
You wanna come up against Sergeant Corgletta, please?
That's Sergeant Samad.
I keep on
I'm
calling.
sorry, don't worry about it.
Corgletta and
They look
Samard,
alike.
yeah, they look alike. One's short, one's tall.
What's important to add, Mr. Tabit is a very good defense attorney, and he goes by evidence. He said there was no evidence of a handgun inside the nightclub. It should be noted that the magazine that was found, that Mr. Tashi produced, is the magazine that would fit that gun that was found. It was a .40 caliber loaded with bullets. Mr. Tashi's story that night was that he didn't want to be charged and that it was found outside, and that was by his account. This is what he stated. So we're going by Mr. Tashi's word, that it was outside. When this case went to court, his story changed. It should be noted that his story changed and there was no cooperation on his part with the district attorney's office, for the record.
When you, I just got one question. When you found the
Magazine?
magazine, was there any bullets
Yeah,
missing?
there were bullets in it. We
Were
had
there
it
any
set.
missing?
No.
Was it full?
As far as I know, there weren't. There were bullets in there. Let me
Answer
look
that
on the,
question, Corgletta? Sorry.
let me look on,
Samard.
Jay
Was
will
there any
tell me.
bullets missing on the cartridge? I didn't see that it said that.
And that night, Mr. Commissioner, also is that when several people came in to bail out the gentleman that was arrested, the 2 gentlemen that were arrested,
10
several
rounds.
of them were saying that they ran because there were shots fired inside the club, but no one, out of fear of retribution, wanted to be interviewed and provide their name.
10 rounds.
So,
There was a magazine full with 10 rounds. So it either was a 10-round clip or it was a 12 or 11-round clip.
All right, this occurred January 1st, that's like 6 months ago. Have we had any other incidents since then?
No. No.
No, before we, I mean, John, do you have anything to add?
I'd just like to say that.
Can you stand
Sean,
up, please?
Sean, you know that we do check people. We do check ladies' purses.
Okay.
And we always have. And that night especially, when we have such acts, we have 2 lady security guards checking security. And I did, when Officer Sergeant Samad came in, he asked me what happened. I was unaware if there was any kind of a clip or anything until after he left. And then we called Jay Cirillo. When I found out there was a thing, I know Jay where I can call him, and I called him. I says, there is something there. Paul called him, and we turned everything over.
You're John.
I'm
Your
John,
brother
yeah.
is Paul.
We turned over all the tapes. I said, whatever you need, go down there. Jay came in, checked everything. I says, whatever you want to do, Jay, go down there. Just go, whatever you need, there's no problem. So to say that we're not cooperating, I don't think it's fair, but
Just a word of advice, because we've been dealing with this for several times.
Yep.
I think your problem also is your brother. I
Yep.
think it's his attitude, and it
Well-
brings a lot of problems on you. So I would suggest very strongly that you sort of talk to your brother.
I will. It's sometimes family's a little,
Well,
you understand.
these are very
Big family.
serious matters.
I do totally,
And
we take it
we
totally
dealt with
serious.
the fire
And
department.
honestly, after he talked to Officer Cirillo, he realized the seriousness nature of it. And I think Jay had, a few harsher words for him.
Are you still getting the people from Boston for that?
We're only open when we have bands. That's it. And we have Latinx, and we do have a couple, we've been straying away from that type of promotion. Like the last time I told you when the guy was parking the van out front, we told these people, no more, it's just not worth it.
They trouble for any club who open the door for them. It's gonna be trouble sooner or later, you know what I mean?
Exactly, but we are doing more just sticking to Latin.
Now, John, I got a question. What is Paul's job there? Because I keep on hearing Paul.
Paul helps me out.
You're the manager.
Paul's my brother,
Right, I know that. But I'm
and
saying,
he's
what is
welcome
his
like all my
job?
all my brothers are welcome.
What is his job? Because I keep on hearing Paul. I'm under the assumption if you're the manager, when people come in, they should be talking directly to you.
And
You're
they
the
do,
manager.
they do. I don't know why they don't. And they've come a couple times, and Paul said, you have to talk to him. And they've written in a report that he's uncooperative, where I don't know why they would talk to him, let them talk to me. I don't know. That's all I can say, is that he's,
When you went that night, was John there too?
and Paul can really, yeah, and I talked, absolutely, I talked to him. And exactly what he said, and I said, no problem, we're gonna check. And Officer Samad came by at the beginning of the night, like he said, and I says, okay, we're gonna have everyone checked. We have security out there, and we are gonna check. We have our wand, giving the receipts, doing the whole thing. And again, we do have the security system, and we are watching, and we do agree. And unfortunately, this incident happened, and again, I was in the club, there was no gunshots fired. Obviously, I'm a little biased because it's my own self, but there was no gunshots fired. And from what my security guard is telling me, that somebody tried to re-enter after there was a little scuffle inside. We pushed everyone out, and when the reason why we did close a little bit early, because there was a scuffle, and we said, that's it, because we didn't want to deal with it. We put the lights on like 10 minutes early. We stopped serving at 1:40.
You guys have any detail that night?
We had called in details. I believe we had a fire department detail there.
Okay.
I'm not
Got any
100%
report
positive,
from the fire
but we've
department?
had fire departments. We didn't have, I guess the officers, they couldn't get two to work, so.
Probably saw if they shot in there or something. I think he should have been questioned, no? He would have been one of the witnesses.
We did call in the details though, but I guess like Sergeant Conway said that, or Lieutenant Conway, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That if they can't get two to work, they don't work. And I think he may have recommended more than two that night.
I did, yeah.
And they couldn't.
Anybody has any questions or anything else Mr. Samard has to add, or?
If I may, I just want to add that,
No, sure.
speaking from experience and being a shift supervisor, nobody wants to work Central Espanol. You could pay them $500, they're not going to work it. It's too dangerous, and it's blood money. So until things change, something's going to happen, and someone's going to get killed. So until things change, things aren't going to get better. So.
Well, Mr. Tabi, as far as I'm concerned, Central, we're new to the board, so we've only been here 2 years. So I believe in everybody starting fresh. But, they have a history. So obviously, there's something going on there. We have a lot of clubs in Lawrence, and that name seems to keep on continuously coming up and coming up.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think that, look, it may very well come up, and I certainly appreciate and understand where Sergeant Samad's coming from. He's the shift supervisor for that, during that time, and it's a busy and it's a tough time of night, not just around Central, but across the entire city with restaurants and clubs. I do not believe, I think that there was an instance here where this board either gave a warning or held in abeyance a 3-day suspension.
warning.
Maybe, okay? But other than that, I don't think that this board
Seen 'em
has
here.
taken action against Central. And I agree with Sergeant Samard and Lieutenant Conway, and so does John, that Mr. Paultashi should have been more cooperative. And I don't disagree that, you're going to put something in the file for this location in any event on this license, and we understand that. We're just asking that you consider not just what's been said by Sergeant Samard and Lieutenant Conway in the police report, but some of the facts that we've added before you make that determination, and that it be proportionate to all of the facts, as opposed to jumping off the deep end with this in terms of discipline, that's all.
Anybody else have anything else to add? Guys,
Okay, I'll make a motion that we issue a 3-day suspension, but based on the fact that it's been 6 months, that there has been no incidents, I'll make a motion we hold it in abeyance for 3 months. That will cover the summer months, and if no other incidents, it'll be removed.
Before we vote, I'd like to add something. You have to, for John, you have to make sure that if you're in charge, you're in charge. I don't understand why the police officers are going in there and Paul's even talking to them. As far as I'm concerned, you're the manager. Paul shouldn't even be discussing anything with him.
If they would address me, I would gladly, you can ask any officer on the force that I've never had a problem, I cooperate. Whatever they say, I try to take care of it the best I can. And I don't know, I don't think you could get one here to say that I have ever disagreed with them when they've come in and told me something. Or ever not taken their advice, put it that way.
You know,
Maybe disagree, but not taking their advice.
You gotta realize too, the summer months is coming.
Absolutely.
So if something occurs within this period of time,
Absolutely.
it's gonna immediately take effect.
Absolutely.
It's gonna take effect, and then you're gonna have to deal with the consequence of the new problem that you have. And I'm gonna tell you something, I don't wanna see you in here again.
Absolutely.
I do not wanna see you in here again. Next time you guys are in here, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I don't wanna see you guys in here again.
No problem.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
we got police officers risking their lives. I understand, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that the gun was not in the club. But they're still putting their lives in danger when a guy has running around outside of the club with a gun,
I 100% agree with you.
okay?
100% agree with you.
So there's a motion on the floor to do a 3-day suspension and amendment for 60 days?
Yes, all right,
3 months.
3 months, 3 months.
90 days,
90
Held in abeyance for 3 months.
held in abeyance, okay? All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Conway. Thank you, Sergeant Samad.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a common victular application. It's a new application.
Hi. Is it me?
I have to, you gotta give me a minute, I have to find your file.
Okay.
Now, you're Angelina Jimenez?
Yes?
Okay. Pat, it says here that the tax payment plan in your packet.
The tax plan
Now-
is because the owners of the property owe considerable money to the tax department. Now, an agreement has been made with the tax department that they have to make timely payments. I've submitted a copy that has come down from Vivian to you. This lady now has been approved, but there is a tax plan in
Okay,
your
but,
package.
but did that tax plan verified through the mayor's office?
Yes, it came down from the mayor's office to Vivian.
I just wanna make sure, 'cause I know the mayor's being very strict on businesses that are owing taxes, permitting people and businesses when the landlord owns taxes.
Yes, you can see it's the outstanding payment plan that you have in the package. Vivian assured me that this came down through the mayor's office.
She's the boss.
I see this came down from the
Vivian,
tax place,
from the tax office,
the
yes.
tax collector, but was this approved with Pat Ruiz in the mayor's office?
Pat did approve it, yes.
Okay.
I don't have a stamp, though, that's from the mayor's office. If you like to table this until, I'll go tomorrow and see if I can.
Well, we could approve it pending the,
Permit verification from the mayor's office. Okay. Wanna vote?
okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the common victual license for Angelina Jimenez pending approval from the mayor's office.
There's a motion to approve the common victuals application for Angela Jimenez, DBA Bocaditos, pending the mayor's office approval. All in favor? Aye. So you have to understand that you have to wait for Pat to get the approval on the tax plan before
Okay,
you get your actual permit, okay?
okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a good night.
So the next item on the agenda is a common victuals reconsideration for Pistachios Bakery, 224 Broadway. Hi.
Hi. I'm
Your-
I'm representing Clara Marte. She wants to obtain a license to open up a bakery on Broadway.
Is she
This
Clara?
is Clara, yeah.
Okay. Is that the one across from Hafner's?
No.
No, where is
It's
that?
across from La Tambora and,
Oh, okay.
yes.
I have an approval here by Jose from the building department. I haven't had a chance to print it out, but it is an
Okay.
approval if you'd like.
You wrote it in here, thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the common victual license for Pistachios Bakery.
There's a motion on the floor to approve the common victuals license for Pistachios Bakery. All in favor? Aye. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Gomez Supermarket. It's still here. Are you guys aware that there's, the Lawrence Fire Department conducted an inspection at your property, and you have some things you have to fix?
Yes,
So has they been fixed?
yes,
Have you reported it to the Lawrence Fire Department?
yes, I had the paperwork here, yes,
You have paperwork that what?
for the fixes, the repairs, everything.
But did you call the fire department to re-inspect it?
Yes, I think so, yes, let me see.
I submitted the paper to Mr. Gomez last week. You had your paper.
Yes, I give it to you, right?
From fire department?
Well,
From fire
I
department?
don't know if they're completed. That will come through Paul.
¿Usted le llevó los papeles al
I don't think we went back for a re-inspection on it yet.
okay. So basically, we're gonna table this matter. So in other words, you're gonna have to come to another meeting. You have to make sure that you get a hold of the Lawrence Fire Department and that they sign off. They have to sign off, if you wanna explain it to them.
So, lo que él le está diciendo es que usted tiene que asegurarse, antes, que lo van a poner para el próximo meeting, y tiene que esos reportes llamar a los bomberos para que vayan a inspeccionar. Entonces ellos le den el ok de que usted puede abrir. Que le faltó ese julio 8, le faltó ese papel. Usted nunca llamó a los bomberos cuando le terminaron de arreglar. No se le dijo.
Okay, let me see, when was the inspection?
Okay?
Okay, I'll make a motion, we table the
23.
Gomez Supermarket.
There's a motion on the floor to
We have to do
table
it tomorrow then, huh?
the Gomez
Maybe, I don't
Supermarket.
know.
All in favor?
They do the inspection.
Se lo pusieron para julio 8 para que usted llame al departamento de bomberos, haga una cita
All right.
para que le inspeccionen.
It's fine, I have all records here, so I call you tomorrow then.
Tiene que ir
Oh,
al
the
bombero
fire
mañana,
department.
ese le-
Yeah, okay.
All right. Okay, next item on the agenda is a common victuals license for Pablo Sanchez, DBA Papa Fristura, formerly Kennedy Fried Chicken. The request from hours from 7 to 2 p.m. Is any- 2 a.m., sorry. Is anybody here? Hi. Are you Pablo Sanchez?
Yes.
What were the, do we have information on what the hours were before?
No, this is new. This used to be Kentucky Fried
Right.
Chicken. It was
No, Kennedy
owned
Fried
by
Chicken.
Angel Sanchez. This is his cousin who is taking over the business.
So what were the,
South Union Street.
what were the hours before Angel?
It was Monday, Saturday through Thursday, 10 to 11, on Saturdays,
And
Sunday
Fridays.
to 2 o'clock, Friday to 3.
So Friday till 3?
Yeah.
I think Pat.
You guys put me on a.
But why is he requesting here hours 7 to 2 a.m.? He wants to open every day till 2 a.m.?
That's what he wants.
Wanna ask him and see?
He just came from New York, like several months ago. I told him the business. His father is making the purchase for him. And, you know, he comes with a mind that in New York they spend a lot of hours working. I don't know if he's gonna, you know, but he's willing to do it and he's young. So I'm supporting him in anything I can.
You wanna ask him if that's what he wants to do, 7 to 2 a.m.? Do you speak English, sir? or-
Could it be?
Ask him in
Que
Spanish.
si tú te aseguro que quieres abrir temprano y cerrar que a las 2 de la mañana toda la noche.
2 a.m. I'm okay with 2 a.m. I'm not good with 3 a.m.
Well, we'll give him, well, but I think we should give him 7 days, 2 a.m.
Can, well,
Oh, my God.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the application for Pablo Sanchez from the hours from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m.
St. Peter.
There's a motion on the floor to,
excuse me, he's saying that, what about Fridays? He can escape since Don Pedro and the other restaurants are open till 2, if he can escape open a little later, the same way that I do.
That's, you know what? On the police side, that's always an issue, because the clubs, things like that, I've gone by when you've had it open till like 2 in the morning, there was really nobody around, because my office is right there, I'm going home.
Yeah.
I don't like it to 3 o'clock, because you know what that causes? It causes drunks coming in, things like that. It's a real issue for the police department. We got a lot of calls we handle after 1 o'clock in the morning. Those guys are jumping, and the last thing we need to do is get down there. So maybe come back in 6 months, if there hasn't been an issue, maybe you can ask for have it changed, all right?
I think it's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. We'll try 7 days a week to 2 a.m. for.
Yeah, I mean,
He's gonna
I
be
think-
tired.
I think
Yeah.
that I think that he's, you know, he just wanna be able to see what works out for him.
Yeah.
And if
Come back.
So we'll do 2 a.m. and in
Comes after-
6 months, if
Yeah.
he feels like he needs it, have him come back in.
dice que hace muchas horas, pero que a cada vez tuve que-
There's a motion on the floor to accept the new common victuals Pablo Sanchez from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., 7 days a week. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is, we're gonna take,
The people here.
the tabled
Come on up.
item,
St. Peter's.
St. Peter and
Peter's.
Paul.
Yeah.
Yep, St. Peter's and St. Paul Annual Feast.
You guys were late. What happened? Oh, you guys are never late.
I know, it was my fault, sorry.
All right, all right.
This is something you guys
Every year.
do every year, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the one-day permit to St. Peter and Paul.
There's a motion on the floor to
days.
accept the
It's 2
one-day
days.
all alcohol permit for
Saturday and
St.
Sunday.
Peter and St. Paul Annual Feast, 2-day permit, June 27th and June 28th. All in favor? Aye. So the next item on the agenda is gonna be Maria Gutierrez, DBA Cache Cafeteria.
Hello, my name is Franklin Capellan. I was a manager in Maria Cafe, in Cache Cafeteria.
He sounded pretty good.
I tried it.
Yeah, he sounds pretty good.
You keep going.
Okay, it says here you haven't got all your sign-offs yet. You haven't, you need to, if you want to explain to him, Maria, he needs to get the food inspector, the building inspector. He needs a lease, a CV number, common victualer's license assigned, paid by money order. He hasn't paid the fees yet or anything like that.
Ok, lo que dice aquí ahora mismo, que tú no tienes nada completo, que te falta la inspección de barda, la inspección del departamento de building, el lease del building donde tú vas a vender y tiene que pagar con un money order la aplicación de ella que no le pagaste.
Ya, ve, nosotros pagamos
So
a
I
ella.
think we should
Cuando
table
nosotros
this and you can come back on
Nosotros le
the
pagamos a ella cuando nosotros
8th,
fuimos.
tell them,
No, ella no,
Yeah,
ella dice
I'll make a motion, we table
That's the
this
application
item
fee.
until,
Oh, tú nada más le pagaste 100 pesos de la aplicación, pero son 200, 100 de la aplicación y 100 del permiso.
Pero ella no me dijo eso.
so we're gonna make a motion to table this
Entonces,
to the July 8th meeting.
Te lo van a poner
All in
para el
favor?
próximo meeting,
Aye.
¿cuándo es?
julio 8, como en 2 semanas.
Asegúrate que tenga todo ready.
Asegúrate que tenga todo. Pasa por allá a ver con Balda y los muchachos. Pasa por allá mañana, si tú puedes.
¿Está bien?
Que yo te ayudo. Bye. Ok. Y trae el money order de $100 para mañana. Ok. Está bien, bye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a late renewal for DBA Grandes, 592 Esther Street, owner Angel Sanchez.
How you doing, guys?
Angel, it says here you got a bunch of problems here too.
Well, they all been fixed, actually. The last couple of days, I've been doing all of my inspections, and I have proof of it.
Huh?
I mean, everything that they recommended me to do, the fire department, I did it.
But you have to have them back for a re-inspection before you can get your common victulars.
All right.
Before you get your common victulars, they have to, you always gotta make sure you
The
fix
the
it.
issue that I have here, and I informed Pam, that is that you guys have treated me like a brand-new business, and I've been operating for like
It has nothing to do with a new business or an old business. What happens is, every year, the fire inspector, the fire department has a right to go in and do an
Right.
investigation when you're getting a new permit. And if they find issues, you need to correct them. So
They
it has
already-
nothing to do with a new
Okay, they've
business
been
or an old
corrected.
business.
They've been corrected, all of
Okay?
them. So if I
It's
need
just,
to,
if they see something wrong, you have to correct it
they've been
before you can
corrected.
get your new license.
Scan.
So I'm gonna suggest we
I'll make a motion, we table the item.
So there's a motion on the floor that we table the item to the July 8th meeting for the common vics for DBA Grandes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So try to resolve all that and then
That's-
come back in 2
they've been
weeks,
solved.
okay?
That's
Thank
been
you.
solved. What about the other?
Oh, it's you too?
It's the same
The
business.
same problem?
Table it.
He's all,
Huh?
he's all set with us on this one.
Is all set on that one?
Okay, this one's all set, so. There's a
Oh,
fourth
yeah, that's his other shop. yeah.
DBA Grandes Shop at 61 Essex Street. It says here you need a copy of the lease, though. You have a copy of the lease?
See you, Raj.
Did you turn that into Pat?
She hasn't been there. I mean, I went.
You have it, Pat, the,
If I have it, it's upstairs. But I would like you to comment on the hours. He wants to remain open until 3 o'clock. He said he had these hours previously, and he did.
Yeah,
On Essex
that's not a
Street.
problem. Where his place is, right next to Barley's?
Yeah,
by
that's
the
a
vendor
more
there?
visible.
Yeah, he's out there, there really isn't a problem there.
For both
Right.
establishments,
Yeah, both establishments, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, so, make a motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion, we approve the application for Grandy's Sandwich Shop at 61 Essex Street.
There's a motion on the floor to accept the common victulars for the DBA Grande Sandwich Shop at 61 Essex Street. All in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Okay, next item on the agenda is a used car office space only for Hector Morales, DBA Savvy Used Auto Sales. Well, he needs a, did you get the business certificate from the city clerk?
I might need that one.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I think I need to get that one.
You need to get it?
Yes, I believe so. I have everything else. I have
Except
the
that?
lease, I have the bond, and,
Pending the,
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the application for Hector Morales, Savvy Used Auto Sales pending all the necessary paperwork.
we're gonna make a motion to accept the application for Hector Morales, pending the business certificate from the city clerk. All in favor? Aye.
Thank
So
you.
make
Have a good
sure you
night.
take care of that tomorrow, and then you can come and see Pat.
All right.
Because he's gonna need that to be able to give you your permit, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
There's a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned.